Welcome, viewers. It was 1992, June 20th, Dharmapuri, Tamil Nadu. Vachathi is a small village under the Chittari mountain of Dharmapuri district, India. There is a unique thing in this village which is not available in other villages. What was that means? The rare and costliest sandalwood tree, which is not available in any other part of the world, will grow only on the mountains in which the people were living. Usually there will be a high demand for sandalwood trees, and since the demand is very high for this tree, a group was cutting the trees and smuggling it, and there is no link between this smuggling group and the people of Vachathi. Those people were doing agriculture and was looking after their own lives. But from the beginning, the police, forest officers, and everyone were thinking those people as a burden, so to evacuate the people from that village, and the thought of making that village as a government property was always there for the police and forest officers. When it was like this in 1992, June 20th, that morning exactly at 10 o'clock, total of 45 police and forest officers came into the village and started searching Perumal, who was the leader of the village. Immediately Perumal came there and asked what happened. For that, one of the officers, the whole village was smuggling sandalwood trees along with Veerappan. And now you are asking me what happened as if you know nothing, he said like this and started beating Perumal. Perumal, who was shocked by this, "Sir, why are you beating? Why are we going to smuggle trees? We have not even seen Veerappan," he said in panic. For that the officer said, "Whatever it is, come to the station and explain," and used bad words against Perumal and dragged him by holding his shirt. Hearing this, all the village people started gathering in that place. The village leader, Perumal, whom they were considering equal to God, everyone was very angry to see the police beating and dragging Perumal. Immediately, all the 650 people in that village gathered there and stopped Perumal from being arrested. And during that time, a fight started between the people and the officers, and in that fight, an officer was injured and his head was bleeding, even though the village people made the officer sit down and put a bandage on his head and give him water. After that, the officers who left that place like good persons started doubling the things that happened there and said to their higher officials. They couldn't digest that the tribal people beat a government officer. So the higher official was enraged, thinking that they became bold by joining with Veerappan, and said that they have to show their power to them. Like this, these crazy officers gathered to hunt a village, and the human hunt that happened in Vachathi was an inspiration for the recent movie Viduthalai. Even the movie which was inspired by that has made a huge impact. Then think about how cruel the original incident might be. What happened in Vachathi that day? Why this case were talked about this much? About the heart-freezing incident which flipped the whole Tamil Nadu. We are going to describe in today's video. You're watching Storybook, and I am your AI storyteller. Come, let's move on to today's video. In a poor family, Ayyanar was living with his 3 sisters. In that village, gangster Muthuramalingam was also living. Ayyanar, who was in the money collection work. As usual, after collecting the money, when he was returning back, Muthuramalingam gang members stole the money from Ayyanar. Now Ayyanar, who was panicking without knowing what to do, his friend Ganesan suggested to go and meet a sage. Likewise, Ayyanar, along with his friend, went to meet that sage. The next second, unbelievable changes started to happen for him. So what happened? After all the officers left the village, all the people there gathered under a banyan tree and started to discuss the things that happened in the morning. And while discussing who smuggled sandalwood trees, whoever it is, come front and accept the truth like this, Perumal said to everyone. For that, the whole village promised that none of them did it and said that those officers were planning to put them in jail by faking the case. So thinking that the officers left, all the people left the place to do their daily work. But none of them know about the incident which is going to happen next. Time is exactly 3 in the evening. Police, forest officers, and revenue department officers, a total of 300 people surrounded that village. And those officers cruelly went inside the houses in the village and beat women, old people, and dragged them out of the house. Because of this, all the people were panicked. Now what the people said is, "First show the evidence that we smuggled sandalwood trees. After that, beat and kick us, we will accept it," they said. Immediately the officers called some of them to show the evidence and selected some young boys and girls. And all the selected people were taken near a lake And when they went there, the officers started to dig the ground as if they hid something there. Exactly in that place. Some sandalwoods were there. Look nicely, this is the evidence you asked for, and said that this sandalwood must be taken into the village, and to the village boys whom the officers brought with them, gave the sandalwood to them and asked them to carry it. And after those village boys left the place, now some officers and 18 young girls of the village were in that lakeside. Now that 18 girls, all the officers together, started raping them individually one by one and gang by gang. Those girls who didn't even expect this started to scream and tried to escape from there, and one of the officers grabbed the hair of a girl who tried to escape, saw a scorpion on the ground near him. Now in one hand he tightly held that girl's hair, and in another hand he took the scorpion and put in her inner wear and bit his tongue and said, "Now run," and smiled. In that 18 girls, one of them was a 13-year-old minor girl, and another was a pregnant lady. But the officers didn't see that she was a minor girl or a pregnant lady. And at the same time when this was happening on the other side in the village, all the people saw the boys carrying sandalwoods in their hands, and they were shocked by seeing it. But the most shocking thing is the girls didn't return. So they asked the boys where are the girls and why only they had returned. But before those boys answered, one of the officers said that the evidence they asked is here. So he said to arrest all the people and board them on a truck. Hearing this, some of the people escaped and ran toward Chetari Mountain. So the remaining men, women, and without even leaving the children, they arrested a total of 192 people, and they boarded those people in the truck like an animal by beating and torturing them. And after that, they took everyone to the nearby forest office in Harur. And when they went to the forest office, they asked all the lady officers to leave the station and go home. Now they started raping the arrested girls in the same forest office. Not only that, but without giving food to the arrested men and women. They hit them continuously and tortured them. At one stage, without being able to bear the torture, the village women said "Instead of torturing us like this, please kill us," and started to beg for their own death. But the officers said they won't allow them to die easily, and this is only the beginning, and asked the village leader Perumal, who was standing in the corner, to come there. After that, they selected some women and made them to stand in a line, and asked Perumal to remove their dress and inner wares. Hearing this, Perumal was shattered, and the women started to cry. And without any option, he stoned his heart, and as the police officer said, he started removing those women's inner wares. Now they gave a broomstick to the woman who was standing naked and asked them to beat the village leader for doing this to them. And when the women were beating him, the village leader Perumal was also made to stand naked without any dress. Now what I have said is just a small thing of what happened there. It's just 1%. They did a lot of tortures like this, and after doing all the tortures, the officers told the village people, "Forget everything which happened here when we take you to the court, if you say something there." They threatened to destroy the remaining people and the village without any trace. The village people who were scared by this accepted what the officer said, but the officers who said like this, what they did inside the village is the most horrible thing. That night the officers went inside each house of the village and tore all the ration card and the school certificates of the children, and took all the rice, dal, oil from every house and ration shop and threw in the street. And they chopped and cooked all the chicken and goats in the village and ate them. And after that they threw all the remaining skin and bone in the drinking water well and made the water unfit to drink. After doing all this, the village looked like an elephant group destroyed and came out of the village. And it was destroyed more than that. In fact, it looked like a cemetery. Now, after torturing all the arrested people for 3 days, they took them to the court. But none of them spoke a word against those officers. So for smuggling sandalwood trees and supporting Veerappan, they easily filed a fake case against them and put everyone in the jail. Since half of them were in the jail and rest of them were hidden in the mountains, now the Vachathi village was empty. Now the people who were hidden in the mountains, and the people who escaped in the beginning, went to some politicians and tribal head and informed this. After hearing this, when they went there and looked, they were very shocked. No one will believe what they say, so they took a photo of the village and gave the photo to the media. And only through the media the situation of the people and the village came out. But no big actions were taken for this. Now 3 years after the incident, that is in 1995, Nala Sivan, who belongs to Marxist Communist Party, filed a complaint against 269 police and forest officers and sent a petition to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court accepted the petition and handed over the case to CBI. CBI officer DSP Jagannathan started investigating this case. Even though the accused were 269 people unlike the other cases. As a solo person, he worked hard and collected all the evidence against them. And since this officer took action, those women came to a mentality of telling what happened to them in the court. Since this case went to the Supreme Court, the officers who were involved in this became scared, and all the victims correctly identified the officers who raped them. And in the court, in front of everybody, to the victims, all the questions asked by the advocate were very uncomfortable. Who all saw Nirkanda Parvai movie? In the court scene, what are all the questions asked to the victims? Similarly, in this court, the questions asked by the advocate was very vulgar. These questions affected the victims badly. They all felt very shameful. Where did he touch you? How did he touch you? And what he did to you? Like this, he started to ask vulgar questions like this. But that second, the pain which those girls underwent and the torture faced by the village and shames, those things came as a flash in their eyes. So those women thought that what else to be ashamed of, and answered all the questions asked by the advocate. Since all the accused in this case were government officers, they used their power to avoid going to the court and extended the case time. Exactly 19 years after this incident, that is on September 29, 2011, since 54 of the accused died among the 269. The remaining 215 were proved to be guilt, and some of them used their influence and came out in bail. And recently another judgment also came. I don't know whether it is a coincidence or what. After the judgment came in September 29, 2011, on the same date, that is on September 29, 2023 again, the judgment came. And in that 215 accused, 17 main accused were given life sentence. Not only that, they ordered to give 10 lakh fine to the victims, and the judgment said that all the victims must be given government job. After the incident in Vachathi, the women and the whole village who were affected in this were unable to come over it. Even though it has been over 31 years, they were unable to overcome it and living like a dead. So, viewers, what do you think about this? The situation is not similar like now, because if something happened here, with the phone or CCTV record, we know that this type of horrible thing had happened, and the police did like this, or the officers did like this, but at the time it was not like that. What police say is the truth. Officers, by using their power, they did everything they wanted, and no one knows how many innocent people were affected in that. In Jai Bhim movie also they said this. So comment what you think about this without forgetting. And your best comment will come in the next video. If you haven't liked the video yet, then give your support through a like. And if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, subscribe it now. And this type of crime, thriller, and mystery videos will come in our channel between a day gap. I will meet you in another video like this. Thank you. Bye.